I guess the Chinese military ain't as lame as I thought. Now it's personal. Is that your girl?
Blood. For blood.
The film opens with Leng Feng and his dedicated team returning the ashes of a fallen comrade to his grieving family. Upon their arrival, they discover the soldier's mother desperately pleading with a real estate developer intent on demolishing her son's home. In a show of respect and solidarity, Leng halts the machinery surrounding the house and gently presents the ashes to the heartbroken mother. However, the real estate owner, lacking any sensitivity, interrupts this solemn moment and aggressively confronts the soldiers. As tensions escalate, the police arrive and instruct the soldiers to stand down. They comply, but when the real estate owner threatens the lives of the fallen soldier's family, Leng's fury ignites. In a moment of rage, he attacks and kills the man. As a consequence of his actions, Leng is discharged from the military and sentenced to 2 years in prison. The narrative shifts to a ship sailing through the Indian Ocean, where it is suddenly attacked by pirates. In a display of bravery, Leng, now a retired special ops soldier known as Wolf Warrior, leaps into the water to confront the pirates in an underwater brawl. Embracing his new life, he finds solace among those who appreciate him, including his young godson, Tundu. Spending time with Tundu helps ease his loneliness and distracts him from the grief he feels over the loss of his fiancée, Lieutenant Colonel Long Xiaoyun. Amidst this backdrop of personal healing, the country faces a crisis as the Prime Minister declares a state of emergency following a brutal massacre by a ruthless rebel group. This turmoil is compounded by an outbreak of a deadly disease that has left the nation reeling. One evening, while Leng and Tundu are enjoying a peaceful moment at the beach with locals, an explosion shatters their tranquility. The rebels have invaded the city. In the ensuing chaos, gunfire erupts between the military and the rebels, putting many innocent lives at risk, including Leng and Tundu's. They seek refuge in a local supermarket owned by another Chinese man. However, their temporary sanctuary is soon breached as the rebels storm in, turning it into a battleground. Frustrated by the escalating violence, Leng takes decisive action against the attackers and quickly rallies the civilians to follow him to safety at the Chinese embassy. As they exit the battered supermarket, they are met with a scene of utter devastation outside. They witness a military bus filled with evacuees being bombed by rebels, resulting in further carnage. Determined to save as many lives as possible, Leng leads his group towards the embassy. Upon reaching the embassy gates, they find themselves trapped as rebels close in, brandishing machine guns and shouting slogans of insurrection. In a moment of diplomatic intervention, the Chinese ambassador steps forward, urging both sides to cease fire for the sake of his people and citing China's long-standing relationship with the country. The rebels relent, allowing Leng and those with him, Africans included, to safely enter the embassy. Later that night, arrangements are made to transport everyone inside to safety aboard a Chinese fleet awaiting them at the coast. As they journey through the war-torn city under cover of darkness, they finally reach the ship by morning. The Chinese ambassador contacts the Prime Minister to request additional protection for Dr. Chen, who remains in the country working on a vaccine for Lamala. Regrettably, the Prime Minister informs him that he cannot assist. Moments later, he is assassinated along with his ministers for refusing to disclose Dr. Chen's whereabouts to the rebels. On board the fleet, Leng shares with the shop owner a unique bullet he wears around his neck, a haunting reminder he believes is connected to his fiancée's tragic death. He inquires if anyone has ever seen such a bullet before, revealing how deeply intertwined his past continues to be with his present struggles. The shop owner hesitantly reveals that the insignia on the bullet belongs to a rebel group contracted from Europe to execute covert missions. Just then, Tundu, realizing they are about to return to China, becomes overwhelmed with fear and begins to cry hysterically for his mother. Leng swiftly steps in to comfort him, promising that he will find her. Later, Leng overhears a tense exchange between the naval captain and the Chinese ambassador. The captain explains that he cannot dispatch reinforcements without UN authorization, despite the ambassador's urgent pleas to consider the lives of the Chinese citizens still trapped in the city, including Dr. Chen. In a moment of resolve, Leng volunteers to undertake the perilous mission of rescuing those left behind, disregarding the warnings that he would be without military support or weapons. Meanwhile, across town, Commander Big Daddy, the head of the mercenaries, receives orders from the rebel leader to locate Dr. Chen as quickly as possible. Armed with heavy artillery and tanks, he dispatches his men to the hospital. As Leng returns to the city, he decides to prioritize finding Dr. Chen and heads straight for the hospital, where chaos has already erupted due to the mercenaries' arrival. The mercenaries demand everyone kneel and reveal Dr. Chen's identity under threat of violence. Amidst the tension, a courageous young doctor claims to be Dr. Chen, but before she can prove her identity, another man shouts that she is actually Dr. Rachel. In a fit of rage, the mercenary shoots the man and then turns his weapon on Dr. Rachel. Just then, the real Dr. Chen makes a desperate attempt to stab the mercenary from behind, only to be shot by one of the guards. In a dramatic turn, Leng crashes his car through the hospital window, creating a chaotic confrontation. He rushes to Dr. Chen, who, in his final moments, entrusts Leng with the care of his daughter, Pasha. Dr. Rachel, clutching Pasha, scrambles to start a nearby car. Leng seizes a weapon from one of the fallen mercenaries and opens fire on those pursuing them as they speed away in a harrowing car chase through the narrow streets of the city. As they drive, Leng updates the naval captain, who informs him that military aid is on its way from China but warns that he remains largely on his own for now. The captain also mentions that the fleet can only remain for 18 hours, hoping they can return in time. During their escape, Dr. Rachel notices a cut on Leng's arm and panics at the thought that he might have contracted the deadly illness at the quarantine area in the hospital. She cleans and dresses his wound while advising him to be vigilant for any symptoms. Eventually, they arrive at the Chinese factory, which is heavily guarded. The leader, Zhou Yifan, confronts Leng and threatens him with a gun until Tundu's mother bursts through the crowd, asking about her son, which diffuses the tension. Inside the factory's offices, Leng, Dr. Rachel and Pasha discuss their next steps while Tundu connects with his mother via video call. Later that night, having discovered Leng's identity, the mercenaries launched an attack on the factory during a gathering of unsuspecting people. They deploy drone cameras as they prepare to strike, setting the stage for an intense confrontation ahead. Zhou's father, a seasoned military veteran, joins forces with Leng in a fierce battle against the mercenaries, whose primary objective is to abduct Pasha and eliminate any witnesses. The fight is grueling and relentless, with Leng repeatedly saving Zhou from peril.
Pasha.
However, as the tide turns against them, Leng finds himself injured and surrounded by Big Daddy and his men, facing certain death. Just as they prepare to deliver the final blow, the leader of the rebels, alerted to the chaos unfolding, commands them to stand down and retreat. Frustrated and cursing the situation, Big Daddy begrudgingly obeys and pulls back. Upon their return, Big Daddy erupts in fury, berating his crew for their failure to respect the might of the Chinese, emphasizing that China holds a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. But to everyone's shock, he has reached his breaking point. In a sudden act of violence, he stabs and kills the rebel leader. Back at the factory, Dr. Rachel helps Leng to his feet as the remaining survivors gather for safety. However, the head of security immediately turns against Leng, accusing him of jeopardizing their safety by arriving when he did. Dr. Rachel examines him, checking his wounds and symptoms, and her findings are alarming. He has contracted the lamina virus, sending a wave of fear through the group. Determined to protect those around him, Leng decides to leave the factory, leaning on Dr. Rachel and Pasha for support. They venture out into the rain and find refuge in a small cave for the night. As fever grips him, Leng slips into a restless sleep filled with hallucinations of his fiancée. The following day, he awakens completely revitalized. Dr. Rachel explains that Dr. Chen had discovered self-healing properties in humans and that among thousands of lamina cases, only one individual, Pasha, exhibited this unique ability. At the time of his death, Dr. Chen was working on a vaccine derived from Pasha's serum. She reveals that she administered an experimental vaccine to Leng the previous day, which facilitated his recovery. Realizing that the rebels believe they can seize control of the country by capturing Pasha, the trio stealthily returns to the factory to find everyone huddled together in a single room. Once they regroup, Joe, his father, and Leng lead the frightened crowd out to safety. Leng contacts the naval captain to report the attacks on Chinese lives, resulting in an immediate agreement to dispatch a helicopter. As women and children, including Dr. Rachel, Pasha, and Tundu's mother, board the helicopter, it comes under fire moments after takeoff and crashes. Fortunately, there are no casualties. The survivors rally to assist those emerging from the wreckage but are soon spotted by Big Daddy's crew. An intense battle erupts, featuring tanks and heavy artillery. Wounded and lying on the ground, Leng records the harrowing scene and sends it to the naval base. Which uses the footage to secure UN authorization for missile strikes that obliterate the rebel forces. Big Daddy survives the onslaught and fires at Leng, who recognizes the bullet that grazes his bulletproof vest as one he has been trying to identify. Fueled by rage and a thirst for revenge, Leng charges at Big Daddy.
Now it's personal. Is that your girl?
Blood. For blood.
He's pretty.
You're gonna die for those people.
In the aftermath, convoy vehicles arrive to transport them to the UN camp. As they navigate through a war-torn landscape under the protection of their Chinese flag, they are welcomed by an enthusiastic crowd that includes the ambassador and the naval captain. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a wonderful day.